let's go back to our childhood now. What did you want to be when you grew up? What exciting things did you want to do? What exhilarating jobs did you want to have? At some point, how many of us wanted to be a secret agent, an explorer, or, quite frankly, Indiana Jones? That was me. However, we can't be 10 years old forever, and we eventually need to abandon these original career desires and lean towards more realistic career paths. But those core things that intrigued so many of us as a child still remain. We still want to be challenged, we still want to be in diverse and dynamic roles, and we still want to be on the cutting edge. So, it will come to no surprise that right now, all the challenging, dynamic and cutting edge careers running through your heads does not include farming. Why is that? People often subscribe to myths and misperceptions about what farming is, which do not accurately represent what the modern farm is actually like. Typically, if you ask someone what images come to mind when you say the word farmer, it would probably be something along the lines of man, dirt, tractor, environmental destroyer. Similarly, if you ask them what they thought about a career in farming, it would be along the lines of hard labour, simple life, boring. But it is not. So if this is not what modern farming looks like nowadays, what is a farmer and what does a farmer do? Well, let's take my family's horticultural farm as an example. This is the day in the life of a small to medium-sized horticultural farming business. The day starts with logistics management and marketing, with the loading of yesterday's produce onto the transport vehicle. Farmers, like my parents, need to work collaboratively with other businesses along the supply chain and be acutely aware of how their product copes with transport to ensure that the best quality product reaches the market and the consumer. They can achieve these goals through a number of methods, including continuous negotiations with sellers across major markets to determine where the product should be sent, as well as placing sensors with the product in the transport vehicle to monitor temperature changes. So data analysis, data collection, is integral to every component of farming to help make more informed business decisions. Now let's move to the part of the day that engages with innovative engineering. As the crop grown is a labour-intensive harvesting crop, my dad designed a machine and system to simplify this process, to improve the productivity of the business, but also to ensure that a better quality product reached the consumer. The harvesting and packaging of the crop requires a staff of 20 people at any one time, which means a staff of 40 people are required across a 7-month harvest period. This means that workplace health and safety and human resource management are important skills to have. So my mum delivers ongoing training and skill development and monitors performance to identify roles that are best fit for particular workers. As my mum's managing the day's harvest, my dad is monitoring the crops for pests and diseases, calling in professionals like agronomists when necessary. The crop's nutrient levels are assessed, and the crop's food and water are supplied via an underground irrigation system that can be remotely operated by computer via satellite. My parents have continuously engaged and collaborated with research institutions and government bodies to help enhance environmental outcomes by reducing water wastage, improving soil nutrient and quality, protecting waterways, and managing biodiversity and biosecurity. The day ends with the farmers retiring to the accommodation quarters of the farm, as, because of the demand for labour and the isolation of the farm from the nearest town, my mum developed a secondary business of on-farm hostel accommodation, including recreational facilities. So, my mum is a business entrepreneur. My parents are not the exception. Across my research career, I've spoken with many farmers across many industries, and though some are happy to be small, simple, low-key businesses, I'm also continuously impressed with the ingenuity, enthusiasm, and innovation with which so many other farmers approach their farming business. the farm is a dynamic workplace that offers dynamic career opportunities. To be a farmer, you can be an entrepreneur, an engineer, a marketer, a logistics manager, an environmental manager, a human resource manager, or a business manager. You can be all of these things, or you can be just one of these things. To be a successful farmer, you need to be innovative and resilient, and this need for innovation arises out of the challenges that farmers face, such as climate change and variability, isolation, access to systems and services, and the complexity of the supply chain and the intensity of the work. This is innovation by necessity, but this is not a bad thing. This is what makes this a challenging, dynamic, and cutting-edge career. So, sounds great, right? But as we know, this is not how people see farming. People do not see farming as a challenging, dynamic, and cutting-edge career. The fact is that the farming population is an ageing population. Rural communities have been experiencing a migration of people, but particularly young people, to urban areas. My own and other research shows that parents within farming families are actively encouraging their children to leave, to get educated or skilled, and to get more secure employment elsewhere. This loss of young people, of future young farmers, does not just affect the farming industry. This population bleed has substantial impacts on the social and economic sustainability of our rural communities. This then has implications for grand challenges such as domestic and international food security. We don't want this. We want these communities to grow, to thrive. And for so many communities, farming is their lifeblood. Now, there are many reasons why we're experiencing a loss of young people from farming areas, including cost-profit margins, high cost buy-in, and challenging markets and regulatory processes. But some of these reasons also include a lack of support from the broader community in seeing farming as a worthy career, and the consistent reported concern by farmers that they feel that the general community and public have a negative perception of farming, such as seeing them as environmental vandals, or that they do not value farming. This caused the farmers I've spoken to considerable stress, contributing to their overall disillusionment that farming is not a good career for their children. And so we see this endless flow of people from rural to urban areas. These myths, these misperceptions that we may have, can have a real impact on not just the individual and their family, but the livelihood of an entire community. So what can we do? Now that we know what the modern farm is actually like, where can we go from here? But what we need to do is rebadge the farm. We need to re-educate and reshape the way that people think about farming to help bridge the gap between the general public and their farming communities. We need to move beyond this idea that you're born into farming and that it is instead a viable career option for anyone. As I said, farming is and can be many things, which includes complex business structures and creative ways in which you can invest in and be involved in farming. You do not need to be born into farming. You can be an engineer or a programmer working with robotics and software. You can be in marketing and advertising, being creative in produce promotion. You can be in science and research like biology, improving plant resilience and disease resistance. You can be an entrepreneur working with complex business portfolios. This shift in thinking is not easy and does not resolve quickly, but it can start with establishing more clear career paths by raising awareness of our rebadged farm at career days or in senior secondary education. We can also shift thinking and help rebadge the farm by being more conscious as consumers of the processes that went in to produce the products and foods that we consume, or by engaging in local supply chains such as farmers markets and local distributors. By doing these things, we can start to shift the way in which farming is viewed. Farmers can feel more valued, which will in turn help enhance resiliency. New opportunities will open up for young people in the future, which will then help enhance the competitiveness, productivity, and sustainability of the farming industry. We can then hope to stem the flow of people from rural to urban areas, create more viable and livable communities, while securing an environmentally, economically, and socially sustainable food supply for future generations. I'm not saying that this career is for everyone, but for all of us that dreamt of a challenging, dynamic, and cutting-edge career, let's now include farming into that dreamscape of potential careers, because farming is much more than what you think it is. Thank you.